Hey, it's Adrian, and today I'm taking a look at Logitech's new MX Master 3S mouse. So like a lot of you, I also own the MX Master 3, and I'm wondering if it's worth the upgrade to the 3S, so let's find out. In the box, we have the MX Master 3S, the Logi USB bolt receiver, a USB Type A to C charging cable, and some manuals. In terms of ordering options, so there's the pale gray, which is what I have. There's also a graphite version and a black version. So what's the main difference between the 3S and the 3? Well, there's only two that I can really tell. One is that the 3S has an 8000 DPI tracking sensor and the 3 has a 4000 DPI tracking sensor. The benefit of that is that the 3S is going to be able to track more easily on a wide range of surfaces than the 3. The other difference is the one that I'm most interested in, and it is that the 3S has 90% quieter clicking than on the 3. So here's a quick demo. MD3. So you can see there's a noticeable difference in the noise that the 3S generates when you click it. Now for some people that's going to be a detriment. They like that click. For others, they're going to really appreciate it. I fall into the group that really appreciates the quiet clicking. All right, let's take a look at the design difference between the 3S and the 3. And the difference is, there is no difference. The dimensions remain exactly the same, so does the weight. So those of you looking for a weight reduction, it isn't to be found here. I'd still like to go over the design of the 3S, even though there's no difference between the 3, just for people who are new to this model of mouse. If you're familiar, please skip ahead to the next part in the video. The design is a really good design. I'm glad they didn't change it much. So this back portion here really hugs or really conforms to your palm and grip. You can see I have no gap anywhere here, and it's a very planted feel. Now when I look at the side profile of the mouse, my finger sits very comfortably here. This one extends just slightly off, but it doesn't feel like it's hanging off or falling off. It's a very comfortable experience. The other important thing I look at with any type of mouse is that, how secure, how planted is it? And if I just put both fingers here and I try to shift my weight from both, the mouse isn't rocking, and that's great for me because anytime I'm moving very quickly, I don't want any type of rocking motion. So it's a very stable, very planted mouse. Looking at the bottom, you have a button here, and this is the button that you would press to switch between 3 different devices, so you can pair up to 3 devices and control it from this one mouse. You also have an on and off button there, and the 8000 DPI tracking sensor, which is new on this model. Now the front of the mouse has a Type-C charging port. Taking a look at the top of the mouse, so you have your normal right and left click. You also have a scroll wheel here, which you can click in to function as a middle button. Super handy. Now my favorite feature of the MX line of mice is the scroll wheel, this magnetic scroll wheel that's also found on the 3. Now you can see if I click this button here, every time I rotate the mouse, there's kind of hard stops. So it kind of scrolls by increment like with most normal mice. Now once you click in that button, you can switch it to a free spin mode, so you can see, not sure how well it shows up on camera, but it's basically just scrolling really quickly there, and there's no noise. It's perfectly fluid. It's a really nice feeling, and that really comes in handy when you're scrolling through a lot of information, data in Excel files. And it seems gimmicky, but believe me, once you use it, it's really hard to go back to using a mouse that doesn't have this feature. Now, on the side of the mouse, you have a scroll wheel, and this is good for scrolling along horizontal content, or content that's laid out vertically, like an Excel file, or when you're video editing and you're viewing a timeline. You also have a backwards and forwards button here, and the last button is at the bottom here. You can see there's this little bump there, and you can press that. And sometimes I like to just map that to launch the start button on my computer. There's also a battery LED indicator light right next to the horizontal scroll wheel. Ergonomics wise, the mouse is great. It's exactly the same ergonomics as on the MX Master 3 because nothing has changed. And you can see while I'm holding it, it conforms really well to my palm. There's no gaps or anything when I'm holding it, and all the buttons are easily accessible. So I have access right here. I can scroll very quickly, hit the ratchet, use the horizontal scroll backwards and forwards, and also the button at the bottom here. So everything's really great ergonomics wise. So here's a quick demo on the difference when you're clicking with the 3S and the 3 again. So you can hear there's a noticeable difference between the 3S and the 3. And for someone like me who prefers quiet, this is definitely the option I'm going to go with. And it also reminds me of the noise or the soft type of click found on the Logitech vertical lift. So if I click this, they're pretty similar. It's a soft type of click. So if you're deciding between the 3 and the 3S and you do prefer a quiet workspace, the 3S is definitely the best option. All right, guys, welcome to quite possibly the most advanced scientific testing in any YouTube video. So I have the MX Master 3, and you can see I paired it with my phone. So while I'm moving it on the table, the mouse cursor is going up and down. I'm gonna put it on this piece of tissue paper, and again, I can move around, no problem. Gonna put it on this pane of glass, and I'm having problems now. It's really moving intermittently, and this is unusable. If I go to the MX Master 3, so again, no problem moving it on the table. Silly paper tissue test, no problem, tracks perfectly fine. If I go to glass, it tracks okay. Seems like it's better than the MX Master 3, but it's definitely not fluid enough where I would make the claim that this tracks on, pretty much any type of surface. So a definite improvement with the 8000 DPI, but glass is still an issue, especially if it's this type of special glass where it's a clear pane of glass and there's a black backdrop. Sorry, maybe if it was just a glass table, it would be different, but make of that what you will. All right, let's take a look at the Logi option software. And one cool thing is because I have the pale gray version of the mouse, it's actually showing the pale gray version in the software. But let's continue. So if I go and I click on any of these buttons, you can see there's a bunch of recommended actions on the right side here. And you can also click this drop down for other actions. And there's a ton of stuff you could do. You could do emojis, you can open a specific app, you can undo, zoom in, zoom out, do nothing, brightness up and down. Really a ton of different options on there. If I go into point and scroll, same thing. I could set the scroll wheel to have like an inverted or standard. It could be smart shift, so it ratchets, or it's the smooth scrolling like I mentioned earlier. You could also change the thumb wheel sensitivity or speed, the pointer speed. Again, you have the option for easy switch. So I only have it paired to my laptop. Later I'm going to do that to my desktop when I take it upstairs. Then you also have flow so that you could drag files between desktops. That is so handy, and it'll work between a Windows and Mac device as well. And then finally you have your regular settings where you can check for firmware updates and things like that. So is the MX Master 3S worth the upgrade? I think for most people it is not worth the upgrade. The body style is exactly the same, the weight is the same, pretty much everything is the same except tracking. And if you didn't have an issue with tracking before on the 3, then this is not necessary. The other difference is that the MX Master 3S is 90% quieter. Now, is 90% quieter worth the price of a brand new mouse? Well, that's really only something you can decide. And to help you decide, here's a demo again. And while it is quieter, I can also say that the clicking feels softer. So when I'm clicking, it feels softer than this type of sharp clicking on here. If you decide to keep your MX Master 3, I think that's still a great decision, because if the tracking never bothered you on the MX Master 3, then the bump up to 8000 DPI is not going to be a game changer for you. Same with the quietness. If you manage to do with the loud clicking on the MX Master 3, then maybe it's not worth going to the 3S. Unless that's something that's really important to you. And maybe if you're lucky, when the MX Master 4 comes out, who knows when that's going to be, it's going to already have the soft type of click, and maybe they'll also come out with a left-handed version or lighting effects or what have you for people who are interested. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the 3S. Is it worth the upgrade for the 90% quieter clicks and the improved tracking, the 8000 DPI? Or do you actually view the 3S as a downgrade because you prefer to have that auditory feedback with the clicking and that tactile type of feel instead of, the soft kind of muted feeling or sound on the 3S. I'd be curious to know. I also reviewed Logitech's new MX mechanical keyboard. If you're interested in that, please check it out. And as always, please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.